if we can get.
All right, yeah, it's recorded now.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. You've got to enable me to be able to share my screen.
Let's see here. Okay, can you try?
All right, hold on. Let me try it. All right, now it looks like we're cooking with peanut oil. All right, can you ladies see my screen?
Not yet.
How about now?
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so the first thing we're doing on a comparative market analysis is we're trying to find the value of the home based on comparable homes sold. Typically what we use this for is to find out what price we should list the home at, which is always the client's choice. We're just here to advise and consult, and there's different reasons why people would list their homes at different prices. The listing price is more of a marketing tool. As we'll see in the CMA report, a lot of homes don't even sell for what it lists for. They're over, under. In this hot market right now, a lot of them are going over. So the important pieces of information we want to get, we go into the realist, we look up the address, and we're looking up an address for today for a client we're meeting with, which just is public information. So I'm not divulging any customer proprietary information here, so I don't have to black anything out. Anybody can look this up. So we're going to this house. So the important piece of information, and Monica, this is what I want you to jot down, is to make sure you get this. We're going to work on a PowerPoint for this. But the important pieces of information are, we want to go down. Township may play in, because when you're doing comparative market analysis, you try to you increase your distance and your time to get comparables. On this one right here, we're going to be good probably with the subdivision. We're going to find comparables sold probably in the subdivision. We're not going to have to go out to the township or the zip code. Or sometimes on weird like country rural properties, you might have to go as far out as the county to find. I know some pole barns up in Noble County. You'll have to go to the whole Noble County to find pole barn comparables. We've had that issue before, where it's a pole barn house, not just a house with a pole barn. And sometimes that case will come up when you have a house with outbuildings like pole barns and sheds that are out of the norm. So the biggest things, we want to know the lot acres. We want to know lot size, 3214. This is actually a larger lot for this area. But we want to know that because we want to know if it's really big, like it's over an acre, because that's where it's really going to come into play with some extra value on lot. Otherwise, if you're in between 0.15 to almost 0.45, there's not a lot of value just in the lot itself due to setbacks and regulations. It just doesn't give a lot of value on the lot itself, but it will make it more sellable for sure. And it does add some value when an appraiser comes in. And we want to know the above ground or above grade square footage is 1375, which we'll verify at the home. Sometimes these are correct, sometimes they're not. That's important. The bedrooms and baths are important, which I believe is at the top. So you always want to know the bedrooms, baths, and it also shows the square feet here again. And the year built is highly significant when you're doing a comparative market analysis. And that's what a lot of consumers don't understand. They see a lot of these new builds going up and they want to compare their home to a brand new home. Well, you can't do that. The newer the home is, the closer in age to it you want to go. Like if the home's only 2 years old, you've got to compare it to 1 and 3 year old homes. As it gets up to like 5, you can start to move it to 3-year-old homes to 7-year-old homes, just so you're staying comparable. As it gets up to 10, you can start to move it from 5 to 15. Like this is a 1954 build. So we're going to put in probably 25 to 75-year-old homes, because this one is actually 46, 67 years old. So we might actually put 35 to 85 to have comparable homes in age. As you get older, the more variance you're going to get on the year built that you can go for comparables on. And that's because the structure and foundation are that age. Now, if you've poured a new foundation, put new walls, new studs, new everything, Because a lot of times people will renovate a home or remodel a home and they'll redo a lot of the inside or the outside, the exterior. You know, they'll redo the roof, the siding, you know, the inside drywall and stuff, but still your frame and your foundation are, you know, in this case, 67 years old. So you've got to keep that in mind when you're finding comparable homes that have sold. So those are the important things we're pulling off this real quick. And the addition, like I said, you want to, if you can find comparables in the addition, that's going to be close enough, because typically an appraiser wants to stay half a mile from the home and last 6 months in sales. So now we're going to go in and do a search. Let me make sure you can still see my, can you still see my screen here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to go in, and I've got this realist printed in front of me. So that information we just covered, I've got right in front of me, and I have the important items circled on it. So we're going to go in and we're going to do a search. And this is a residential property, so we're going to search residential. We're going to put in sold status. Okay, we're going to exclude auctions just because they are a different beast. And we're going to start at 6 months, and we're going to type in the addition, which is Sunnymead. And I'm very familiar. I've got another couple listings that are coming up in this same edition, so I'm rather familiar with this edition. So I know that there's going to be enough sold in here. We're going to be able to pull a comp just from Sunnymead. Although last 6 months we got nothing. Making sure we don't have any other criteria. This is all of our criteria right here. So we're going to go back 12 months. I am shocked we are not finding more than that. And that's not even ours. We got to put in the zip code here. This is actually, it's kind of in New Haven, but it is a Fort Wayne zip code. So we're going to put 46803 to narrow it down, so we make sure we're just in the Sunnymead. And Sunnymead does not have enough, so I stand corrected here on Sunnymead. I'm going to open it up to the zip code, which is typically bigger than the township. And see, now I'm pulling up a bunch. So now I'm going to go to 6 months. I'm going to start with the age, because that's usually a major factor. Like I said, that people don't. We're going to put 35 to 85 here. So homes that are minimum age of 35 years to a maximum age of 85. Now we got 16. So we still got a bit too many. We need to get 3 to 5 comparables, but we also want to see, I usually want a list of about 10, because I want 2 bottom outliers and I want 2 top outliers. And this Delwood and New Haven are, if they're not in that edition, they should be. So a lot of times too, we have the problem in this extremely hot market. The reason we don't want to put our criteria down too far to dial it in too much is because a lot of times agents aren't even putting in stuff that they're not required to do. They're just putting in bare minimum, putting it up and selling it. So we're going to look at the bottom here, which I can almost guarantee you when we look at these outliers, it's 48,000. It's going to be a fixer upper. So typically I won't even look at the outliers. Yeah, you need some TLC, which tells me it's an outlier without even looking at the pictures. And there's probably not very many pictures, which there actually are on this one. And pictures come into play when you start to get closer to comparables. So this one's in pretty bad shape. And it actually, and like we'll look right here real quick, it listed for 44,995 and it sold for 48,000. So it actually sold over. So that's why I always say the listing price is more of a marketing tool. So we're going to go back here. Oh, I got to move this little thing out of my way. Okay. All right, so we're going to go back. So this right here should serve as good enough for us for what we're looking for. And remember, we're looking at, we've got a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1375 square feet. So we're going to dial down the square footage now, because that's going to be the easiest next step. Bedrooms and bathrooms aren't huge or as big of a value as your livable above ground square footage. Basements start to get tricky because of the liability of a basement as the home ages. When a home gets to like 50 years, basements and unless you have a water system or one of those water out type systems to take the water out and protect it, your basement value is going to be about $0 a square foot. And, you know, Ed McCutcheon had a great saying on, you know, when you're buying a home, if you're buying it price per square foot, it's like buying a car price per pound. You don't do that. The same as Ann and I went over a client looking for acreage, and they were more concentrated on the price per acre, which is something you look at when you're making an offer and you're pricing a home, but it's not, but they're going to sell the property at a price. And it'll be based on that price per acre, but price per acres change. I mean, the closer you get to a lake or a destination, the higher your price per acre is going to be, or the less usable your land or floodplain area, or like I referred to, one of the lowest values are Louisiana, Florida, and swampland. You know, you might be able to get that for $1,000 an acre because it's guard, can't do much with it. It costs you a lot of money to get it to where you could develop it if they would even allow you to. So we're going to go in here and we're going to put in we're going to go with above grade finished square feet. So we're going to put in 1,000 to 1,600. We're going to move it about 300 square feet from what it is. So we're going to go, actually I'm going to put 1,000 and 1,650 since I believe we're 1,375 on this. I'm actually going to go to 1,700. Go 1,750 just to get more room. Okay, so great. So we're getting 8 homes in that size. So we're going to look at it. We got a problem of 1 less bedroom, but typically on the appraisal, that's not going to be huge. Maybe 10, 15,000. Like I said, the overall value, the more importance is going to be on the actual livable square footage above ground. And none of these have basements, as you can see, or don't have any finished basements anyways, by the total finished square footage. So we're looking at, you know, bottom side's 50,000. I'm going to take out the outliers, and then you've got top 2 outliers. But in this market, outliers could be of significance. Like we're going to take a look at this 2311 Medford, because this market's moving so fast, and heck, national numbers and local numbers are looking about up 15% from last year. So we've got to take that into consideration. So this one listed at 129. Now we're going to read it. This home has extra room upstairs as addition. There's an abundance of natural light. Want more space? Finished base. Oh, this does have a partially finished basement. So it does have some added square footage on that, but the age of the home, it gives really little value to it without them saying that they've got the water channels or a water out system. And as always, I advise clients if they have a basement, to get the basement inspected, you know, for the structural integrity of it, because eventually the weight of the ground pushes in on it. So it looks like they sold it over for 132. And it just did recently sell. So that's a reflection of what the market is now. Even though all these are in 6 months, that one was just recent for a high price. So we're going to look at this Bremer Road as well. And Bremer Road, clear your calendar, 3, 1.5 taken care of, single. So it's saying it's a well-maintained home. In this price range, we're not going to have to look so much for granite countertops and whatnot. What is going to play in a factor is central air, to make sure it's a vented house. A lot of times in these lower ones, sometimes you can see electric heat and stuff, and that's going to knock your value down. Putting in duct work on a house is probably easy 15 grand. So we've got these, the only 2-bedroom, but it's short a bath on it, looking at 68. So we're looking low side, a real low side of 68. So it depends on the condition of this home, and that's why you really got to see them. Now I'm going to go back a little further on the criteria here. And they've been doing this. They've been allowing for a lot of back time, especially with COVID and the weird market we're experiencing. Actually, FHA a couple months ago just went to where they will allow active and pending listings to be acceptable for appraisal values, because the market's running so fast. So they can, 2 of the 3 to 5 comparables the appraiser is going to use could be active or pending. So here we're getting a pretty good value. If this home's in pretty good condition, we're looking somewhere 117 to 132. And then you're going to see these 4 homes here are probably going to need a little more, don't have as many updates. This one's completely redone. It was listed as 79, but it only went for 75. So their opinion of redone could be different than ours. And it could be, a lot of times too, homeowners have they do the mistakes of doing stuff themselves when they're not really qualified or can't do it. And you can get in and you can really see that they did it themselves. So, and this one doesn't look bad. Roof's got some aging. I can see some curling on the shingles from the pictures. And pictures can lie a lot of times. But yeah, I can almost guarantee you by looking at these pictures, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to see the cabinets are kind of older. They may have put new panels on it. And I don't know if that's real tile or a linoleum thing. I'm betting by the price it is not real tile. They didn't even put a mirror in the bathroom. That's kind of bad. That's a lot of people are going to look. You're going to get higher value when you've got it move in ready. So this is showing this is probably Flipper or DIY did it. It looks like they could be a pig with lipstick, and then you've got the cracking in the concrete, which is not terrible. And this one, did this one have a basement? So look, you always want to watch that on a basement. No, it has no below ground square footage, so it's on a slab. So that's pretty much the gist of that. And then you kind of just, you got to go there and fill it out. So we've got a good idea. This is a good CMA list to go through with the client. And typically what I'll do is I'll print this out like I'm going to do now. And then I'll go through a few of these. I'll start probably about here and take notes on any of the features on the houses. Because it's probably looking at, you know, it's somewhere between 68 and 132 is probably most likely what this house is going to go for. But like I said, a lot of it's just, there's too many intangibles you've got to see to know. If it's nice and it's all good and he's got new paint and he's, or the client's willing to do those repairs, like I can go in and tell them what they need to do to get in this value, we should be able to get in this value. All right, so we can stop that recording for now. You got the recording stopped? And
I'm working on it. Give me just
okay.
one